What do you do for Christmas consumerism as an anti-capitalist? I'm looking for ideas. Oh, this is my wheelhouse. Thank you for this question. Actually, I have a couple of videos on my YouTube about specifically Christmas, Black Friday shopping, all that stuff. So please go search my YouTube. So when I was religious, I was really big into Advent conspiracy. So I don't know if you are a practicing Christian, that might be a resource that you would want to check out about reclaiming the holy season of Advent from consumerism. So now that I'm no longer religious, I do struggle with finding meaning at the holidays, but that doesn't mean that I don't try to make them meaningful for my kids. So we focus on family connection, play a lot of games together. Here in the Pacific Northwest, it gets dark about 4:30 in the winter. And so we all hang out in the living room. I get a fire going in the wood stove. We do online like puzzlers together, Sudoku, play board games, card games. We will listen to podcasts and work on our own individual crafts together. And that's a way that we try to find meaning in that season of the year. In terms of gifts, we have always done, for me, even all the way back into high school, almost exclusively homemade and thrifted gifts. Some of the exceptions would be books, necessary clothes, and occasionally board and card games. Oh, and art supplies. We talk about our expectations with our kids. And I think that the fact that they have relatives who have kind of gone really overboard at the holidays in a way that my kids find overwhelming with the quantity of gifts and the overt consumerism, the stuff. My kids really don't expect a lot out of the holidays or want a lot. There was even one year when my daughter Ruth told my mother, actually, I'm done. I think she opened 3 or 4 gifts and was like, I'm done. I don't want to do anymore. And my mom actually tried to respect that quite a bit. She saw that my kids were I know she wanted to love and dote on them, but it was just an insane amount of stuff. And she switched to doing the 12 days of Christmas with them, where each grandkid would get 1 gift every day for the 12 days. And that way she could get away with giving them lots of gifts, but just 1 at a time so that it didn't feel overwhelming. But we'd probably give each kid 3 gifts maybe. 1 bigger gift and then a couple of smaller gifts. My kids aren't obligated to get us gifts. And usually my husband and I get each other either nothing or some kind of experience. Like last year for Christmas, he and the kids got me tickets to see Dar Williams this year. I do a lot of knitting, a lot of sewing, a lot of baking. My daughters will often paint things or sculpt things or needle felt things. But we really don't have any expectations of gift giving, or I should say gift receiving. And I think we do take a lot of joy in the homemade gifts that we do give. And we also really enjoy going to thrift stores together and scouring them throughout the year, thinking intentionally about looking for gifts that our family members would like. And it's kind of like a fun treasure hunt all year. And it'll be like, Mom, go distract George because I found something that he'll want for Christmas. I'm going to go up to the register and get it, but distract him so he doesn't see. And this will be in July. I will say something else that we do to keep Christmas simple and anti-consumerist. Actually, 2 more things is that we do a very small tree. It's a little tabletop tree. It sits in our window seat. I string popcorn and cranberries, and it's covered in homemade and thrifted ornaments. But it's small and doable, less expensive. We don't need some giant gaudy tree. And then obviously I compost it at the end of the season. The other thing we do is that as a German American who lived in Germany when I was a kid, who has inherited basically an entire Christkindlmarkt, my house looks like a Bavarian Christmas dream. And that gives us a lot of joy because it's a chance to remember my mother and the way she would really decorate the house with fine ox pyramids, nutcrackers, Rauschenmann. And then along with that, I make an effort to obviously do special holiday baking. And as my kids have gotten older, they have taken over a number of the cookies that we make. We'll make hot mulled cider, glühwein, and enjoy those on cold, rainy nights. So I hope those suggestions are helpful. Homemade gifts, thrifted gifts, books, clothes, art supplies, reducing expectations, focusing on connection, ritual, routine, baking, games, celebrations, decorating the house, more than on stuff. Those go a long way, I think, in creating a holiday season that's about our relationships instead of just accumulating stuff. Oh, I'll also say here too, I keep coming up with more things to say. I'll also say here too, we haven't had a TV in more than 20 years. And so we don't really have a lot of advertising coming into our home. We do watch some things on the computer that are holiday traditions. We watch The Hogfather together. I like watching Victorian Christmas, Edwardian Christmas, that whole series with Ruth Goodman. It's free on YouTube. We also watch Tasha Tudor's Take Joy, if you can find a copy of it. And my husband still takes time to read a lot of the Christmas picture books to my kids, even though they are almost 22, down to 13. They still really enjoy that time with their dad. And then I think one last thing, and I'll leave it here, on Christmas morning, even though my kids are all older, we still do stockings with an orange in the toe. And the kids will get things like a new toothbrush. Maybe I found some cool brooches at the thrift store, or new hair ties, new erasers. And then a mix of slavery-free chocolate and some other candies. I think it doesn't matter how old the kids get. My husband and I are going to enjoy doing that still. And actually, my eldest kid helps as well now. So I hope that you can find meaning in the holidays. I think this is going to be a really rough Christmas for a lot of us. I mean, obviously. But I think it's also a Christmas where a number of us are considering spending less. I think it's really good if we have children to have honest conversations about that. Where do our values lay? Where do we actually find real enjoyment, contentment, joy? It's not from stuff that, is going to put us in debt and we'll end up in the landfill in a couple of years, if not less. Where do we really find joy? What is our actual meaning that we imbue into the holiday season? How do we take pleasure in that time of year, in the people in our lives, the rituals and symbolism of the holiday? I think we get to define Christmas however we want. What our Christmas routine looks like, what our expectations are. We get to assess and say, what is actually meaningful here? What is bringing joy to my life? How do I set aside the things that are stressful, burdensome, feel like an obligation rather than a celebration? So thanks again for your question. I really love talking about Christmas and finding meaning and joy outside of our consumeristic society. So thank you.